Good morning, Sarah. How are you?
Good morning, Hugh. Thanks for having me.
I saw you on Fox News. I became jealous. I said, wait a minute. She's supposed to be the Hugh Hewitt weekend correspondent, but congratulations on. Are you a contributor now or just filling in when they need someone who knows what they're talking about?
I'm not a contributor. I'm more like the B or C team, honestly, now and then.
Oh, I've been playing on that bench for years. It's AAA. It's great. Sarah, tell us what's in this news story about the whistleblower allegations. What's key?
Gosh, there were just so many new details in these transcripts of testimony from two whistleblowers, one of whom identified himself, one of whom remained anonymous. To me, there were a couple of standout points, and one of them was this idea that David Weiss, the U.S. attorney in Delaware, is not actually in charge of anything with regards to the investigation, because that's the piece that Attorney General Merrick Garland and Democrats keep holding up to say, well, this investigation is being conducted without political interference. It's completely independent. There's no need to appoint a special counsel, which would have more authority because David Weiss was appointed by Trump. He's the only Trump holdover in terms of U.S. attorneys. And he's allowed to make any decision he wants. The two whistleblowers both said that Weiss repeatedly tried to bring charges in other jurisdictions where Biden appointees were U.S. attorneys, and he was denied every time. And in the case of California, when he tried to bring tax related charges in California, the Justice Department inexplicably slow walked Weiss's ability to try to present the case to the U.S. attorney in California for 2 years until September 2022. A week after Biden's U.S. attorney gets confirmed to serve in that role in the Central District of California, all of a sudden the Justice Department gives a green light for Weiss to be able to present those charges. And unsurprisingly, that newly minted Biden U.S. attorney denies the ability of Weiss to charge. So this idea that the Justice Department is actually secretly running it, not David Weiss, was a really, I think, a startling revelation.
I also want to underscore, Sarah, David Weiss was appointed by Trump. U.S. attorneys are not appointed without the concurrence of both senators in a state. The U.S. attorney in Delaware needed Chris Coons and whoever the other guy is to sign off before he became the U.S. attorney. So it's not like he's a conservative Republican. He's acceptable to Coons, the Trump Department of Justice, and the other senator. I'm sure he's a professional, but where do we go from here? Because that is an explosive allegation. It suggests that David Weiss is not in control and that Biden people were protecting Hunter Biden. That's the suggestion.
That's right. And there's also, Republicans I think are maybe going to make some noise about a perjury allegation here because specifically earlier this year, Garland was asked about whether Weiss has ever had problems bringing charges in other jurisdictions. And Garland specifically said, no, that's never happened. If he needed anything from the Justice Department, he could make any charging decision he wanted. He's completely independent. And these two whistleblowers are both saying that's not the case. Weiss wanted to bring charges on multiple occasions, both in Washington, D.C. and in California. And at every turn, he's been blocked by U.S. attorneys that were handpicked by Biden. And another piece of this also is just to compare how aggressively they've gone after Donald Trump with physical search warrants, with witness interviews, and the extent to which the Justice Department prevented Weiss's team from ever obtaining a physical search warrant for any of the places where they had much more than probable cause to go and search for evidence.
So, Sarah, in terms of when we expect to hear from the federal judge to whom this has been assigned, is there a sentencing date that is firm? And do we expect any kind of intervention by Congress before that sentencing date in the form of a hearing, either in Ways and Means or oversight?
I think it's not clear how much Congress can really do now that Hunter Biden has pleaded guilty. Both sides, the U.S. Attorney's Office in Delaware, David Weiss's office, and Hunter Biden and his attorney have accepted the terms of that deal, and there wasn't a lot of teeth to it. There are still other aspects of the Hunter Biden investigation that have gone, unexplored, right? And particularly that's the foreign lobbying allegations, the improper foreign lobbying allegations, and the influence peddling. That was never really explored. The IRS agents here who are whistleblowers have said repeatedly to Congress now that they weren't allowed to look into any of that. But there's a lot of evidence that's just sort of sitting in the files of the FBI and the IRS that now they could be under more pressure to look into.
Quick exit, Sarah Bedford. In terms of the Oversight Committee, will they call the U.S. Attorney from Delaware, Mr. Weiss, to appear before the sentencing?
I think that could be something more for the Judiciary Committee, but yeah, I do think that is one possibility, especially since it seems like Weiss is really more on the aggressive side of looking into Hunter Biden. He was just stymied.
Yeah, that would be the guy. Were you interfered with? Did you want to bring these charges? Who stopped you? Why and when? Sarah C. Bedford from the DC Examiner. Always great to finish my Friday interviewing with you. Thank you, Sarah.